Good afternoon, US. Good evening, UK, and welcome to Paranormal Path Peeps. And how you doing, Lois?
Much better than I was, thanks.
Oh, bless you, Lois has been quite ill, haven't you?
We are just in a really bad chest infection.
Oh,
Yeah, and it's lingering, isn't it, at the moment, which is so I
Yep.
hope you feel better soon. But our special
Thanks,
guest
lovely.
tonight is Richard Case. How are you doing? I've spoken to you before.
hi guys, thank you for inviting me on this evening. Wonderful to be with you, as always.
It's good to have you on.
It's
Thank
great
you.
to speak to you, finally, because, I think I probably spoke to you about a year and a half ago. I don't know. I was with Haunted Antiques.
It was probably about a year and a half
Yeah.
ago.
Just lose track, don't you?
Funny thing with the cameras on these things is I'm looking here and you're over there and then you're there. So if I'm not looking
And
at
I'm
you,
where?
yeah, it was about a year and a half ago now. Yeah, I think around about that time.
Yeah, it's about COVID time, and we've had all that, haven't
Yeah.
we? And yeah, so you're a skeptic.
Yeah, I very much am. I mean, when I say a skeptic, I'm obviously not a scoffer as well. There are people that are skeptical, that scoff people that have any beliefs at all, which I don't do.
Yeah.
I've got a group that sometimes work with me, and they comprise of believers in the paranormal. So I have to be open-minded with them and respect what they believe and take that on. I mean, I still think there's a lot to be questioned, a lot to be looked at, and I'm particularly interested in the fact that some people see things or see spirits, while others, like myself, don't see anything at all. And I say to people, well, something's going on for that to happen. And I know a lot of people in the more of the scientific field will say, well, it could be hallucination, it could be in their mind, it could be over imagination. And I turn around and say, well, yeah, it could be all those things. But then there are things even I cannot sometimes explain. And I think because of that, the paranormal is a wonderful thing for us to look at.
Yeah, it is. So it happened with me, though. Like, I didn't believe, and I saw a lot of people like going, "Oh, did you see that?" And a few people would go, "Yeah," but it happened frequently.
Yeah.
So what do you think when that happens, when more than one person sees something?
Well, I think if you've got a group of people that are all seeing the same thing, I think investigations can be a bit messy sometimes. I mean, I've experimented with. What I've done is I've gone out on investigations, I've held investigations, and all the time I said to the people that are there, please don't take this the wrong way, but you are almost like my guinea pigs, because I'm learning from you and how you react and the psychology in it and everything. And I think if you see a bad investigation where already somebody has given away a lot of the information before they begin the investigation, and they're putting the fear of God in everyone, and everyone's getting quite, by the way, we're going to do this haunted church, and there's a priest in it who was very angry and very aggressive, and he kind of attacked somebody. Well, everyone goes in with that mind when they go into the investigation. So it's not surprising then that you may get people seeing things through what we call mass hysteria. That could be explained by that.
Mm-hmm.
But I have seen controlled, proper investigations. Yeah, where people have seen things and you can't really explain it, sort of thing. I've got a lady that is in my team, and she went to Gardner Haskins in Bristol, which is a well-known. Well, it's no longer there, but it was well known that something was going on in this old soap factory, that things were being seen. And I went there to do an event, and I met Tina from that event. And Tina said to me, "I work here," and she said, "I've seen the ghost. I have a conversation with him. I talk to him every day.
Wow.
He comes upstairs, and I say, 'How are you?' and everything else." And I thought, great. I said, I want you on my team. Join the team, because I welcome people that have these experiences, because I want to learn more and more what is going on. And I think Cal Cooper as well, Dr. Cal Cooper, has said to me,
yeah, he's brilliant.
He's brilliant. And he's turned around and said to me, well, Richard, there's more evidence that there could be survival after death than there is that there's not. So I'm open to it. I'm open to that kind of thing. But I'm more on the anomalistic psychology, Chris French, where a lot of things can just explained, but there are times when I scratch my head.
Yeah.
That's what. Sorry, let you go.
You go. Fine.
That's what I like about you, Richard. I like the fact that you come from a sceptic point of view, and I think it's always a good thing to have a sceptic on the team.
Yeah.
Because it gives them an insight as well. If you can't debunk it as a paranormal investigator, to have that sceptic point of view, it is a good thing. I wouldn't say it's a bad thing.
It is, and I mean, we did a lovely event this weekend at a church. Funny enough, I mean, I will say to other people, I'm very much against people using graveyards and putting their little gadgets on graves. I personally don't find that myself. I find that unethical. But what I've worked with the Church Conservation Trust in doing is I do a talk in a church. I do a talk in a haunted church. Get a load of groups of people together, and we then sit there and listen to whatever happens, and it's done in a respectful way, raising money for that church. Now, when I did this event, what everyone else said is, we've come to the event. Oh, we're glad that you're a skeptic, because we thought you were going to be. And one of them that didn't believe said, "Thank God for that." He said, "I thought it was all going to be people that kind of believed 100%." He said, "And I know, like you say, that if you do see something's going on." And for one example, I mean, yes, my team that I sometimes go out with love using kitten balls, and they put them down on the floor, and one kitten ball was going off and on, and it was going all the time. And I said, "Is Donald Duck here?" And it still was going off. Me proving to them that it may be a faulty kitten ball. Yeah. But funny enough, I moved that, but it backfired on me, because I moved this faulty kitten ball over to somewhere else and said, "Well, that will keep going off all night. Ignore it." It stopped going off. It didn't go off at all. And then when I turned around and said, "Well, maybe this guy that's here is going to make it go," and suddenly it went off. And I thought, okay, all right. Okay, whoever's in control of that kitten ball, you fooled me now. That was a prime example of where I was proved a little bit wrong on that one.
And you actually did a recent show with James Whale. It's just quite funny, because they took the mickey out of, ghost hunting, because they had a ghost behind them, which is so funny.
They did, and it was my first bit of acting I've ever done live on TV, because they already prepared me that they were going to do this stunt. So I knew that this ghost was going to come behind James Wales, and they had me down as a skeptic, and they said, "So you're a skeptic, Richard?" And I said, "Well, I don't know behind you, James, at the moment." They're saying, I was doing all this, knowing it was the producer dressed up in a ghostly outfit, but it was good fun. It was good fun. I mean, a few people took it the wrong way, and they said, "Well, we don't like that because it's taken a mickey." And when you're in the media, you've got to go with everything, Yeah. And I often go with comedy and take the mickey and go with a lot of that, because at the same time, you're proving to them that what you're doing is you're getting over to the general public. You're not just getting over to those in the paranormal world. You're getting over to people that don't often look at the paranormal world. But what's funny, nobody really gets the fact that I'm a skeptic. As soon as they put me down as the ghost challenger who's been around the world looking for ghosts, the audience immediately says, "Oh, a load of rubbish, don't believe in that. He's a medium." And I say, no, I'm a skeptic like you. I do it to find out, to learn. And they don't understand that, because as soon as you're associated with it, they switch off, sometimes, which is very funny.
But how many people say it's a load of rubbish? Like, you go out somewhere and they go, "What do you do? What you doing at the weekend?" Yeah. And you say, "Oh, I do this." So how many think it's rubbish, but then they go on to tell you a story?
I know. To be honest with you, most people say it's rubbish, but then, like you say, tell you a story about it. And the ones that do say it's rubbish that go on my events, I get the brave person that says to me, "I don't believe in anything." I said, "That's fantastic. I've got the precise location for you to be on your own and spend the evening there." And they say, no, I don't want to do that. I said, "Well, you don't believe in it?" "Well, no, I don't want to be on my own."
And that's it. And for people who don't, in a minute, for people who don't believe, there's Gallion in a pub in Nottingham, one of the oldest pubs, your trip to Jerusalem. And there's a galleon in it. And so the story goes, oh, you're into folklore as well, aren't you? So the story goes that once upon a time, a cleaner cleaned it and she died. So this story went along for so long, and then somebody else thought, oh, that's dusty. They cleaned it and they died. So then they put it in a glass case. And then, the story continues.
Yeah.
But if there's anybody who really doesn't believe, get them to touch that.
Yeah. It's very much true. Yeah, folklore's interesting. I mean, especially when the stories are related around ghosts. I mean, we've got a hotel in Bristol called the Honors Manor Hotel in Bristol, and I'm in the book on that. And funnily enough, one of the main hauntings was about, I think it's room 180 or 188. The number rings a bell. But the guy was in there and he felt a presence on his chest. It was typical sleep paralysis. Okay, it could be explained by sleep paralysis, and because of that one occasion, they said that room was haunted, which kind of goes away from the main haunting of the building. What it is, people that worked there right back in time used to see a nun in the building, and that was people that worked in the hotel, and they did see a figure of a nun.
Oh,
And
wow.
it was a place that was used for Catholic girls that sadly had got pregnant, as you know, and they were thrown into this kind of convent type place to, how dare you be pregnant before marriage and everything else. And it was nuns that ran the place. And the story goes that there's a nun in the wall, or was buried in the wall. Now, the folklore behind a lot of that is if you go to nearly all the hotels in the UK, there's a nun buried in someone's wall. So it isn't always
There's a
true.
story in Nottingham about someone buried in the wall. Yeah.
So it's not always true, but they did find a body in the wall, and there is some truth in this. And it's an incredible place. But I would tell people to avoid the allegedly haunted room and go to the back flight of stairs where the nightclub was. And that's where you're going to get any kind of interesting activity that goes on.
Definitely. Nightclub.
Here's a thing for you that I'm curious, right? You're a skeptic, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever been on a paranormal investigation, had activity? Is it not even kind of just swayed you out just a tiny wee bit that there is paranormal?
What it is, funnily enough, when I was very, very small, I was terrified of the dark and terrified of going, because my I've said this story many a time, and I'll get on to answer your question. But my great uncle, his wife died, and he loved her to bits. So he did left the bedroom as it was, and that was the bedroom I slept in with my parents whilst we were on holiday. And I loved my great uncle to bits. But every time I went into this bedroom, I didn't want to go in there. I don't want to go to bed tonight. I had that uneasy feeling because I thought her ghost would be there, or I'd see her brushing her hair, even though it was my great aunt. And I had a real terrified feeling of it. And I always had that feeling when I was small. So I guess when I was small, I really did believe in it. As I got older, I was brought up with, as many of you may know, I was brought up in very strict religious environment, and my step family were very highly religious, and I turned away from it. And because I turned away from that, I started to question everything. And that's when I started to question the paranormal. When I got introduced to Chris French and anomalistic psychology, I thought, well, a lot of things can be explained. But when I've been on an event, I'll tell you one thing. I went to it was a place in Wales. And I'm trying to think of the name of the place now, but it sort of always slips the mind sometimes. I'm getting to that age.
Is it a
Llanfairpwll Full Manor, Llanfairpwll Full Manor in Wales,
right?
Or Llanfairpwll Full Manor, they call it.
Right, yeah.
I spent the night in there, and when I finished the evening, I was on my own. As you know, a lot of the time I'm on my own doing the challenge. And the lady came over to let me out, and she went to lock up the building. And as she went to lock up the building, I turned around and said, "Oh, there you are." And it wasn't her. It was a shadow figure I saw. And I told her about it, and she said, well, "That's where the shadow figure's seen." So that happened to me. But the trouble with me is I'm a hard person to prove. I turned around to myself and said, was it the trick of the eyes and everything else? So that's what I always do with paranormal. I always say, it could be this. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get you.
I mean, I'll give you the two most convincing things that happened to me. One thing that happened to me is my father-in-law sadly passed away, and he never left a will because he didn't believe in doing that. It was all going to go to Sarah. It was all straightforward. And I remember looking up to him and saying, I don't know, Ken, I got to sort out all the documents. And suddenly my iPhone started ringing. And it was ringing the local crematorium. And that's the sort of joke he'd have with me.
Oh, my gosh.
So I went on there as a skeptic. Is it serious, anything? And I couldn't find anything. So years later, that everyone said Richard may be changing his mind. And I started to believe. But the old skeptic came back. He said, what were you thinking? You were bereaved by losing your father. Was it real? You sure? You sure this one on? And he was doing all this to me, so I went back to the skeptic again. The other one was where I went to this church and I had a recorder, and I said, "I come with respect, mean you no harm." And as clear as day, this voice said, "We know," as clear as day. No mess.
Oh, wow.
And I said to Sarah about it, and then later on, I said, "Well, maybe the wind." The skeptic came back. So.
Yeah.
And when I was on James Wales, Ash, that's his buddy on there, he turned around and said, "You won't believe it until the full-blooded apparition appears in your face." And I said, "Probably not, but
But even at that, you'd probably be saying the power of suggestion in my mind.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or you need to get new glasses, or the glasses are steamed up, or it's a mist, or it's
or something on those lines.
Yeah. To the degree. So, got a couple of comments then.
Sure.
Hello to everyone joining us: Andy Tom, Jenny Sullivan, Sunny Assey, Jeremy York, Michelle Needham, Von Hunter, and everyone else. Terry Davison, who was out without a weekend. And yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone. So we've got Andy, who basically says, the non-believers crack me up. They say they don't believe, but always tell a story that something has happened to them.
Yeah, I agree with you, Andy. But the thing is with that is something's happened. But is that evidence that life goes on after death? That's how I look.
That's a skeptic view, isn't it? Again,
yeah.
There you go.
Something has happened. Even if I was in a building and a glass levitated and went across the church, I would still say something's happened that's paranormal, which is out of scientific range. But is that evidence there's life after death? Is there some other explanation for that glass levitated over? So yeah, there is always that. There's always that curious thing. And what I will say is, there are a lot of things that are happening now that's not been said about. The Society for Psycho Research and a lot of the bodies up in London are doing some good research. And there's also some good research done on out-of-body experiences. But one of my great friends is Dr. Susan Blackmore, and she was a parapsychologist, become a skeptic, and she can explain out-of-body experiences in a scientific way. And I'm reading her book at the moment, which is interesting.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we have things happen because we put ourselves in that environment. But I think, because I've got a story that may sound to you, oh, that's got to be, doesn't mean it is to me. That's the thing with that one.
Yeah. Apologies if you do hear fireworks, but some idiot's been setting off fireworks since about 5 o'clock.
Time of year, isn't it?
In daylight, and they're setting off. Oh, I don't know what's going on.
It's the joys of the month.
Yeah. So, Von, if you have any questions, please write them in the comments, please. Cheers for that, Von. Von helps us out loads, as does Lois. Brilliant. No, thanks for that. But what's your favourite story then with folklore? Is there a particular tale?
I mean, I do folklore. And I also do a thing called it's called apotropaic magic. Have you heard the word apotropaic? It means to ward
can't even
off.
Say it.
Yeah, it means. Don't worry. I had to learn do you know what? I had to learn the word. I had to say it a million times so I could say it right. Because I've said it so often now, I get it right. So that's not me being clever. It's because I've had the word in front of me. And there's a guy called Brian Hoggard that writes wonderful books about witch bottles and things in buildings and witch marks that you see on bits of wood.
Yeah.
And one of the things that fascinates me is apotropaic, and that is to ward off. That's what it means, to ward off.
Right.
So basically, what you would do is one of the things that they would have had is a shoe in the foundation of a building. And that was a folklore belief, that they would bury them in the buildings, or you'd find them in the walls. I don't know if you've ever come across anything.
My friend, yeah, she had a floor
Yeah.
done, and there's something
Yeah.
there, and she didn't know what to do with it, but she knew it shouldn't leave the building.
I know, it's wonderful, and years ago, superstition was so rife that they would hide these things within the walls in the buildings, and they believed that whatever came into the house, the bad entity, would first go to the shoe, attack the shoe, possess the shoe, and leave everyone else alone in the house. Now,
I think this was a coin. It was a coin.
Yeah, it can be coins.
Yeah,
it can be
it's a
coins.
coin they left. Yeah,
it could be coins. It can be any. Yeah, witch bottles. That was another interesting one. That's where they used to have the old witch bottle, and I've got one here actually. Bear with me. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh wow!
Oh wow!
Yeah, that's the old.
That's fantastic.
That's the old. I think it's Bellamere jug. It's got a bearded person on it, and because he's bearded, they think that wards off evil more because of the beard and everything.
Oh
but
wow!
What they would do with that is they would destroy nails. They would bend the nails. Now, Brian Hoggart, as somebody has said, they believe that's because it would make the nails spirit-like. It would be making them into ghosts. So they would bend nails, bend pins, put inside the bottle, and then what would happen is, Jacqueline, say you've done a curse on me, okay? Yeah. And you're a witch, and I think you've done a curse on me. I would then go off and I'd wee in that bottle. I showed them at the event. I didn't wee in the bottle, but I showed them at the event that you wee in the bottle. You got all the bent pins in there, got all the bent nails, and that is supposed to represent the bladder of the witch. You would then chuck it on the fire. You would then chuck it on the fire, and you would come back to me, like you've got a burning bladder, or you've got, stones, and you'd say, I'll take the curse off you, and that's what they believed happened. So that was another belief and folklore, which I love them all. But one quick one, I don't know if you've got the pull cord in your bathroom. I don't know if you remember when they used to have acorns on the bottom. They used to have it used to be an acorn-shaped bottom to the pull cords in the bathroom. And that's because lightning, it would protect a house from lightning. So when they used to put them in the bathroom, it used to be an acorn at the bottom. I've got one. I can't get it now, but if I show you, you'll recognize it. And years ago, they were acorn shaped. Now they're just plastic baubles on the end. But that was another. Gosh. So yeah, folklore beliefs are fascinating. They really are. Because it proves how we were very superstitious, and it's not surprising. We didn't have light nights. We didn't have iPhones, and we didn't have iPads, but
but a lot of the foundation of our speech and the words we say is down to folklore and things like that, isn't it?
Yeah there's loads of things going back to folklore, and you can go on sayings, you can go on all sorts of other things in the background.
Because I went when Richard Felix does a talk, he usually comes out with a couple, and I don't know if hanging around means something else, or certain phrases you automatically say. And
I love the one Richard Felix does is about St. Mark's Eve, when people used to go in the churches. They'd be in the porch of a church on St. Mark's Eve, which I believe was April. I might be wrong. Can you hear this noise on here? Can you hear noise? Have you got that noise? Yeah. Do you know what that is, or
no? This okay.
Sounds like Donald Duck almost.
This is a weird thing. What happens on these podcasts?
Yeah.
So like I don't know if somebody tries to join us or what, because we ruled out any sound issue before we even started.
Or we've got a bit of EVP, as they say.
But it does happen. I think I had a discussion with somebody the other day because I thought they heard something on a show, and I've actually, I think I was talking to someone the other week. Oh, Gary Fields, I think.
It was Gary Fields. So you heard something,
and I heard him say. I heard something. He said something. Then something was said straight away, and I thought he hasn't said that. Because even when I was doing the show, I says, I've heard that word. You check back and you can hear it live, clear as day.
The freaky time was when I rang a friend of mine from a location, and she heard definite growling on the phone, and it really spooked her up. That was quite interesting, and even I heard that, which was quite interesting. But no, St. Mark's Eve is when St. Mark's Eve quickly is when they're in the porch of the church, and what they do is they look for the living to walk through, and it shows them the people that are going to die that year. I think that's one that he talks about as well, which is, he's a great guy.
Yeah, he just tells some stories, doesn't he?
Yeah.
We've got Andy Tom here who says, oh, I found it. There does appear to be someone trying to talk over Richard. Can't make out the words though. But we are finding it now on most StreamYard shows. There is somebody trying to butt into the conversation.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah. But okay, so you went to this church and you held an evening there. It sounds brilliant.
It's a fantastic place. I try and keep it quiet because we don't want a lot of people going near there and bothering the place. But there's a lot of things that have happened there, and I often go to places where I know activity is allegedly happening, rather than to go to places like, I love all these other places, but sometimes the activity was so long ago that it probably isn't happening anymore, and people are paying lots of money to go to these places, and they're not getting the activity that they once had, or they had once off.
Yeah, that's right.
There is another theory, though, as a friend of mine who believes that everywhere's haunted. When we say most haunted, or this is haunted, or that's haunted, he believes that everywhere's haunted, and that
I believe that.
Yeah, that's another interesting concept.
My theory is, if spirit are around you, if apparently people say that you've got your relatives, your family around you, okay?
Yeah.
And you've got buildings and people are attached to buildings, and then you've got land and people might be attached to the land or whatever. If you go in a location, you may be taking the people who are around you there. You could be taking someone from another location there, because sometimes you do have attachments.
Very much.
So you don't actually know. Now, I've actually been at an investigation where somebody walked in the building, they got badly affected. It turned out they'd taken a well-known spirit from another location there. And
that
he
is.
just had to get out of the building because it was that bad. But
that's very much what I've been told by. But I've been told by mediums, and I had a lady go to one investigation. She got very upset, and then I turned around and said, "Okay, can we try and speak only to those that are relevant to this building, and try and not communicate with other people," because she was finding it very upsetting. And but I also say, when we do an event, I say to people, especially get a lot of people that, I never profit from it. All the money goes to the church or to charity now, because I'm luckily in a position where I don't need that money, so I can do what I enjoy. I'm just lucky in that way. But what I do say about when I do an event is, I say to people, you're gonna probably act very strange in front of your work colleagues tonight. You're gonna do things that you wouldn't normally dream of. I said, but my experience is, to try and get things happening, you've got to do those things. You've got to ask out, you've got to communicate, and you've got to speak to whatever's there. And and because we don't do a lot of that, I often then say to other people that are skeptic and say, well, I've worked in this place all my life and I've never seen a ghost or communicated with a ghost. I said, yeah, but have you ever sat there and asked or spoken? No, of course I haven't. I said, well, tonight we're going to do that. And maybe it'll be different. And that person's been surprised at the outcome of us doing that. What happens.
Yeah, that was the thing. Like, I started having lessons about 8 years ago on development.
Yeah.
And they sort of said you've got to ground and protect yourself all the time. I thought, well, I've gone all these years without actually grounding and protecting myself. So what's different now? But
yeah,
I guess it's because you're trying to communicate more and can drain your energy.
I do think, going on the skeptic side, that's also very important as well, to know the people that can deal with these things and the people that can't deal with it, So I think even the hardest skeptic would agree that when people talk about people that do this sort of thing, you have got to be careful, because
Yeah.
if somebody's got a very severe mental or a very anxious person, they could be very susceptible to a lot of things happening, which may not be paranormal but may be real, very real. That happens. And this is also about ethics in the field, because people do go to people's homes. I don't do that, but I know of groups that go to people's homes.
Yeah, that is worrying if I don't know what they're doing.
Exactly, and also there was a long time ago, it was brought to my attention about a young woman who believed that things were happening to her, and it pointed, from my old police background, it pointed to me that there could be something going on that's psychological here, that she could have been abused in the past.
Yeah.
She needed extra help, and she had this guy there telling her that she had a ghost in the house, and all this was happening. So yeah. Hiya, Wayne. Hi.
Yeah, it is. You've got like all these exorcisms and stuff like that. Did the people have sort of mental issues? Was it because of religion? Whatever, or was it actually down to spirit?
Yeah.
I must
Yeah,
admit, there's only like a far few now that I trust in the paranormal that I would go to with a definite case. If there's somebody like that I knew outside of myself that could help, there's only a far few, because there's too many people coming in, and there's too many people claiming I'm medium.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We luckily know the people we can trust, but it's sad that the public don't know who they can trust. And it's also sad that there's ghost groups that offer a night out, and sometimes these vulnerable people don't know who they're going with. And I mean, I always say that at an event. I say, make sure you go with a friend, make sure you know the people, make sure you've checked the website, because we do know the horrible things that have gone on in the field with these weird people, and sadly it affects anything. It does happen. I mean, I know I said I was in the police, but you get bad policemen, so
That's
you get
right,
bad everywhere. Yeah.
I've got a couple of comments then. First one from Andy Tom. He says, spirits attached to you at a location. The good ones are well behaved and stay where they love. Other darker spirits aren't always so well behaved. Always do protection prayers at an investigation. And yeah, you should. Yeah, you should sort of do protection, really.
Yeah, I mean, I personally myself don't, but I have a woman that's in my events team that does it with the people that want to, and I personally think, and I do agree with him 100%, that if there is such a thing as life after death, then you're going to get nasty people in this field, because I mean, if you think about it, you've only got to think of the murderers that have died and what they were like in life.
Oh gosh, yeah.
What they'll be like in death, if they could communicate, would be pure evil, So you are dealing with some sometimes potentially dangerous people.
Yeah, that's it. We just don't know. Hi, Phil Newton. Hope you're okay. Von's got a question. Richard, what do you think about people using all the gadgets and running around? Do you think they're wasting their time for entertainment and missing an opportunity?
Yeah, Yvonne, I go back to the basics very often, and I just go to a location, just sit and do what I call good old vigils, and I have no gadgets. I have gone back to gadgets though, but I do a mixture of both. I personally don't trust any of the gadgets. That's the way I am, because I think all the gadgets, I mean, they say that, we've got this EMF reader. Yeah, that can detect EMF, but it doesn't mean it's detecting a ghost. So when the K2 meter's flashing, doesn't mean that that's proof that it's a ghost. We don't know what a ghost is made of, so therefore it's very difficult to say if it is reacting to that. But having said that, it's good fun when you take people there and they do like the flashing lights to see things, because often I say to people, if you go on an event, it could be quite boring, nothing will happen. So if you do get the gadgets out and they start flashing away at things that they can't explain, it does add that air of, we may be one step closer to communicating with something. So I've gone back a little bit to gadget. Personally, I do the Ghost Challenge as me alone. People watch me, which is coming back next year, by the way.
Oh, brilliant.
I stopped that for such a long time, but I'm going to be locked in a people are going to lock me in the most haunted place they can think of. I'm going to be there, and you're going to watch me, and there's going to be no gadgets. It's going to be me just talking and you seeing. Now, I am aware that gets boring TV. That's the way it's going to be. It's not
But
TV. It's going to be, it's going to be real. And
is that no better though? I don't
Yeah.
mean that disrespectfully, but sometimes it's better not to have gadgets at all.
yeah,
It's just yourself, using yourself as that person to be the gadget,
yeah.
As you say, people watch too many ghost shows. I don't mean this. That sounds terrible to a paranormal investigator. And I personally, I don't watch ghost shows because
No.
I don't want to watch made up.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, it's better you go yourself and experience it.
Definitely.
And as I say to people that come into paranormal, like some of my friends will say, but what if you don't get nothing? Well, that's not a wasted night in my eyes, because I'm sitting in history. So even if I don't get nothing, being in that place means
it's amazing.
Getting
100%.
evidence.
100%. I mean, that's what I enjoy by it. It's been in a building, and if I don't get anything, it's been in that place, like you say. And I think, if you think about it, the church that I do, a well-known ghost hunter, I'm going to say it because nobody can get in there without permission, okay? But this ghost hunter called Elliot O'Donnell was the ghost hunter that went into this church, okay? And he's a writer, and basically he did it just by going in there, sitting, and just experiencing whatever. And that's how they used to be. That's the old ways before we had a lot of these apps and these gadgets. Now, I know, Jacqueline, you've had a lot of people knock apps and things like that. Now, what I will say about that is,
look, the thing is, I'm open-minded.
Yeah.
And to categorically come along and say this doesn't work.
Yeah.
Have you tried it? Have you seen someone try it?
Yeah.
And it's not about apps; it's about everything.
If you got an app and you go into a church and it says the name of the person that haunts the church, any skeptic in the world is going to say that is, we're going to say, well, that's interesting, So, some of these apps, it's dubious how they're made and everything else.
There is entertainment purposes things, yeah. There is rubbish out there.
But I think all of them are. I think all of them are like that. The old K2 meters, all these things really can only be down to entertainment. But there are times when they seem to go off at a certain time and answer certain things, and that's interesting. So I say, good luck if you try it, and don't worry about it. And if you're enjoying it, carry on doing it. I don't believe in knocking people and scoffing people. The only thing I do scoff and knock is when I see people disrespectful, like I told you, when they've been on gravestones and they've been And the other thing I is when I seen them with a kitten ball in a windy graveyard or a windy place, and it was clearly moving because of the wind. And they're saying, "Oh, that's Jack talking to me," and I'm thinking, "No, the wind is talking to you." That's where it gets a bit silly. And
they get the name from the gravestone, which is just, it must be that person because it's his grave.
But often those people are desperate. They're desperate to kind of verify their belief so much. I mean, I knew somebody once that made things up, and it wasn't because they were being vindictive. It's because they wanted to they were so desperate for something to happen that they ended up making it happen because they wanted to verify their own belief, and it's crazy. It's totally crazy, but that does happen.
We've got Phil Wyman hi Phil, hope you're okay.
Hi Phil.
Spending too much time looking at gadgets could result in you actually missing out.
Very much so.
I totally agree that.
100%.
But there's times like you go to somewhere and it's like a public event and they've got all these damn bleeping things, and you think, for God's sake, just turn them off.
Well, I've watched Phil's show, and Phil's. I mean, I don't watch shows, but Phil's show, and I'm not just saying that.
Good.
Not just because Phil's on it tonight and he hasn't paid me to say this, but I do watch their show. That's the only show I probably do watch, and I do watch a few others. I mean, I do. Wayne, forgive me.
We've got Wayne as well here.
Truth Beyond Paranormal is another one, and also Wayne's Spookinori is another one. But those are the people we know in the field, the people we know we can trust.
This is it. It's all about trust, isn't it?
And we all know that that Phil has gone a long way with what they're doing now at the moment.
Sarah and everyone in the team is just brilliant.
Phil will have to forgive me then. I was trying to think of Sarah's name then, Sarah Wyman. Yeah, they're great. They're fantastic, and it was very much. I mean, I remember speaking to Phil before I did one of my investigations, and he was very encouraging to me. So there are a lot of good people in the field, and there's a lot of good stuff going on. And unfortunately, like anything, we get a lot of rubbish, and we just got to hold our head high and say what we do is okay, and forget the rest of them.
Well, that's the one, isn't it? I just do it, and I think just by meandering here and there, I do upset people, but it's whatever, isn't it? Really,
you're gonna upset people. I upset people all the time because I'm a skeptic.
I think that is so easy, Richard, in the paranormal field. I mean, you just have to open your mouth.
You get a slap. You get a slap from
you get a slap.
Sarah says you're rude.
But yeah, I mean,
how could I forget Sarah? My wife's called Sarah as well. So
oh no! So ultimately, you forgot your wife's name as well.
I did. Yeah. Now I'm thinking, is it a wedding anniversary? No, it's not. She's looking at me. But yeah, I think it's it is full of people that you have got to have a strong back, but best will in the world. We are human, and we do go through difficult times, and sometimes somebody should be slapping you now. We do go through difficult times, and there are people that sometimes find it hard to be strong. But I just say keep doing what you're doing and plodding on and be strong with it.
Yeah, that's right. You kind of find the people that you actually gel with, don't you?
You do.
And then, that they form your circle, and I've met some wonderful people during the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've made a lot of friends, and it's something I that I really cherish. Is
here's Shelley Smith from Scotland. I actually met her last year in Scotland, and you just meet people on Facebook, and then you sort of go meet them, and it's just wonderful.
The funny thing is, I mean, people say to me, "Oh, you were on TalkTV, you're on BBC Radio. Do you enjoy it?" And I say, "Yeah, I do enjoy it." I say, but really, I enjoy like where we're going next year. Jacqueline, I'm enjoying that.
Yes, we've been invited to be speakers. Yes. At Church Farm in Skegness for.
I'm looking forward to
paranormal investigation, so I'm looking forward to that.
And that is where that's the ones I look forward to, because you're meeting everyone of the same like-mindedness, and you can just have a darn good laugh with it as well.
I will meet you next year, won't I? That'd be cool.
You will, yeah.
Because Wayne was the speaker last time. So,
he was.
Yeah, I was as well, and they've invited me back, so I'm really chuffed about that.
Yeah.
So I've got to change. I've got to change my talk this time, but yeah, I know what I'm doing. Sorted it, but yeah, just to meet these like-minded people and to hear people's stories as well. This is why I like chatting to people on this. Like, I did this because of lockdown.
Yeah.
And you just get to meet some really interesting people.
Can I just show you this book as well as I'm on here?
Oh yeah.
This is from my. I didn't know I had this cousin, Paul Roberts. It's called the History Maker, and I went on Ancestry and I found out that I had a relative. He was called John Roberts, because my mum's maiden name would have been Brewer, but her grandmother was Roberts, and I found out that this guy called John Roberts, who had 30 grandsons in the war, is related to my mum, and there's pictures in there of my mum and family. So even though I'm writing my book, I mean that's my great grandparents in there. So even though I'm writing my book, that's kind of a book before of some of my family. So I thought I'd do that for Paul, let everyone know about that book, because he's a cousin I've now discovered, who's a journalist on Daily Mail, which is useful, or was, and
Wow.
it's amazing. So when you say about meeting people, what Paul Roberts said to me was, he writes about history and about generations, but he believes what we do is very similar to what he does, you know, where we're looking at ghosts and looking at the past and paranormal. It's so similar in many ways because, you know, when we go out and we do a location, we discover all those wonderful people, don't we? You know, those
That's
generations.
right. Yeah.
And many a time a tear's been shed. I mean, I vow to thee thy country, you know, the hymn tune.
Yeah.
I played this at a location, and even though I say I'm a skeptic about kitten balls, nearly every kitten ball suddenly flashed in as that music finished, and we all had a shiver. You know, I played it as if whatever was in that area liked it so much. They all flashed, and it was so moving to think that this could have been men that lost their lives in the war and relatives and family, and it was around October time, and yeah, that was a very strange one. And one of my investigators actually had to go because he felt he was in a lot of pain, and he never is like that. So he felt he was taking on the effects of war and stuff, you know. So it was really interesting. Yeah.
It is amazing, like how many of us were actually into history at school.
Yeah, yeah.
Were you, Lois?
I was actually. I was really interested in history.
Yeah.
I used to love hearing stories. That's why I guess I fell in love with elderly care, because I was basically hearing the stories, and I can always remember this lady, the first ever lady I ever met when I was 17-year-old, and she was 102.
Wow.
102, and she brought up 6 kids herself. Her husband got killed in the war, and listening to her stories, and she was my inspiration, because she just brought up 6 kids. You know, she didn't have nobody, and I can't imagine how it was back in the days.
I know, it's so moving as well, isn't it? To think.
Oh God, aye.
Yeah. And also, Lois, are you based in Scotland now? Do you live up in Scotland?
Yeah. No, I'm in Scotland.
Yeah.
Hi, Stephen.
I love Scotland, but I've never done an investigation up there yet. And Scotland is a wonderful place. I mean, I've been up to, you know, right up in all of, you know, up by Edinburgh and all around the areas and that. And there's so many places up there I want to do. So that's something I think the Ghost Challenger needs to think about. You know.
Definitely.
Coming up, yeah, definitely.
Go to the Orkneys.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, we've got luck. We're very lucky with you know, I mean, England. You're going down Devon. You're going down Cornwall. You're going down that area. You know.
Terry wants to go up to Scotland one day.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's just some beautiful places. Got Terry Davison then. Too many people out there think it's just running around in the dark screaming. And that's what you see from a lot of these shows and live feeds, isn't it? And shouting out and
I think they think that provides excitement to the ones that it's a kind of clickbait attitude, isn't it? Because people that don't understand the paranormal think it is screaming, and they don't want to watch it, and then they watch something and someone's screaming and they watch it more, and they do that and they make it all up and it gets ridiculous and that, you know. And being the Ghost Challenger, when I do it on my own, there are enough times, trust me. I mean, even though I'm a skeptic, there are times. I mean, I when I did that Clan Kayak Fall Manor, when the lights went out, I suddenly realised, oh gosh, all the lights have gone out. Nobody's there, and none of you were there, none of the audience. So I was completely on my own. And for 1 minute, I felt the fear in me, you know, the real cold-blooded fear. And the Skirridin is the one that I often talk about. Is where I
want to stay at the Skirrid. I have been there, and I did pick up about the hangings. I picked the room with the bathroom. Where you go down the steps. I did pick up quite a lot in that room.
Well, it's funny.
It's funny
because I was staying there on my own doing the Ghost Challenger, and I spoke to the landlord, and he said, "Oh, you got the more warmer room in the place, but it's very difficult to get a warm room in there." He knows that, you know, it's quite cold up, but at that time of year it was. But when I was there, I remember it. I just getting myself ready. I just sort of thought, right, I'm not going to do any filming yet. And he'd locked up. And as soon as he locked up, a little bit later, I started hearing this like knocks and bangs and all sorts of noises. And I was saying, look, guys, I don't mind you performing when I do the show, but give me a break, you know. And it was quite eerie. And I remember going outside to the car, and there was a poor little cat outside in the wind and cold, wanting to come in, and that was the cat of the place. So I think so. It's a very wonderful place to do. The people that own it are very accommodating.
Oh, they're lovely, yeah.
And the people at the Clan Fall Manor in Wales, they're very accommodating. And you find that at a lot of locations, people are. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. You can take dogs.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Oh, my God. Really? I'm going next year. Rocky likes ghosts. He growls at them.
I can imagine taking Flo. Flo doesn't growl at any ghost though, but she does growl at mice, because we've had a few mice in the house recently, which I'm never keen on them when it comes to being inside your own home, you know. But
no, it's not a good thing. Wayne, personally think it's best part of the paranormal, meeting up with people with a mind with the same wavelength. Richard and I have gone out on investigations together as a result of it, including the cage.
Yeah.
Well, everyone mentions the cage though, don't they?
The cage is really it is quite an interesting place.
It's gone now, hasn't it?
It has.
Shame.
Yeah, I was left on my own there, but that one particular evening we did it, Wayne went up with me to help with setting up the cameras, and it was really, really icy cold. And I said to him, well, I'm going to be on my own in this place. And poor Wayne had to sit outside, icicles coming off his nose almost. So I said to him, we're going to be honest with people. You're going to come in. I said, you can't stay out in that cold. It's too cold. So for once, I'll have you in the place. So after I'd done a bit of filming on my own, he came into the place. And just before we were about to be honest and tell everyone, so it wasn't me being dishonest, he showed up on the camera and thought it was a ghost. So that was quite funny, that one.
Funny. That's cool. Andy Tom says, he often wonders how we sense the spirit around us. It's happened to him a lot, and he can't fully explain why it happens. He's just happy that it does.
It'd be interesting to know what it feels like to some people. I mean, I even though I'm a skeptic, I'll get that hair stood on end and the static.
Oh, I do on my arm.
Yeah,
mine's my left arm. My left arm always.
Because this place I did, this hotel I did. I was actually in there, and they said that the nun is often seen in this area, and I said, well, if you're here, can you give us some kind of sign? And the emergency light flashed twice. Now, I spoke to the hotel guy, and he said the emergency light shouldn't do that, you know. And I said, well, maybe you need an engineer to check there's no problem. And he said, no, there's nothing wrong with it. And I took a writer there at the same time, and he said to me, so what happened to you when you were there? I said, well, this emergency lighting started flashing. I said, I don't know if it's going to happen now, but I'll do it. And it did happen again there when he was there. So even though I'm a skeptic, that was pretty amazing as well. Yeah. But just before that happened, I did feel that kind of staticky type of feeling. So I do. I mean, people say that I'm sensitive and I feel things, but I prefer the other side, looking at it from a psychological and other aspect at the moment, you know.
Yeah. But I think, well, me and Lois, we do question everything, don't we?
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, like you get something happen.
But, yeah.
You know, you try and make sense of it. Like, I've just posted some weird footage. The other night, I was at Terry's event, which is brilliant, and it was break time, and this lady was sitting there with a candle, and she noticed if she moved her hand, the flame kind of went up towards it. And then I moved my hand there and nothing happened, and somebody else. And we even put another candle there to show it wasn't the breeze. And we don't kind of know what happened now. I think Andy Tom commented on it.
Yeah.
I think there's two spirits there, but I don't know. I can't say it's normal.
So
I need to test it out because
I'd love to
don't
see
really,
that footage. Yeah, I'd love to see that. So
I need to debunk it at home, to be fair, because
Yeah.
I need to get the right candle and the right sort of candlestick, and it just sort of it was really low, sort of one of the large candles, but right burnt low, and it kept shooting up right near a hand.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it made a crackling the sound, but it seemed to, like, as the flame went up right towards a hand, but then when somebody moved towards it, it like moved away from his hand. And
I mean,
it's just really weird what happened. I don't know.
I know the skeptic in me is going to say, did she have anything on her hand that was flammable?
No, she didn't. No,
that may have,
that's
you know, but then she certainly would have known that, unfortunately.
it would.
if she'd,
A whole
you
hand
know,
would have gone up.
yeah,
Yeah, but
exactly,
it was
exactly.
just.
So
I don't get what happened, and I need to look more into it. And
I have seen that in a location where a candle's completely gone out as well.
I've seen that happen. Yeah, for no reason.
Where as if someone's blown the candle out, or they, put the finger on it just to extinguish something. And good old candles sometimes are another wonderful thing to have at investigations, because so many of us now rely on our torches and our headlights, and we take away a lot of the ambience, the whole thing of what doing this is about. I mean, somebody said to me, I said to people, yeah, sure, I don't need to have the lights out when I do the Ghost Challenger, but it does add to it.
It does. It's sometimes like the darkness just closes in, and like if you go into the woods and it's daylight, when the night falls, it just totally takes on. It's a different beast, isn't it? Half the time.
It is. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it's subconscious or what. I don't know. That's the one, isn't it? Just really don't know. But yeah, Terry was there when that candle was rather strange, so I don't know. Stephen Daly, the one thing he's never understood is the so-called skeptics that then claim to have paranormal experience. You either believe or you don't. I'm a skeptic because I question everything.
No, I disagree. With respect, I disagree with Stephen completely, because if somebody has what is an experience that they can't explain, because paranormal, let's define paranormal. Paranormal is something that cannot be explained scientifically, or cannot be, has not got a rational explanation.
Something out of the normal, isn't it?
Out of the normal.
Yeah.
Because someone could go do the question again. So I need to. I know Stephen; he's a great guy. I just need to do this question again.
He's not
Isn't
shot
he
there.
But I can say that because he's been my best pal for 6 years.
Yeah, I know Stephen is lovely. Yeah.
What was the question again?
The one thing is never understood is the so-called skeptics that then claim to have paranormal experience. You either believe it or you don't.
No, because you can have an experience that happens that you can't explain. That doesn't mean you believe that life goes on after death. No, you don't. It doesn't. You could, like I say, or you know that something is unexplainable, but you look for everything to explain it. But
that's
what was that?
Everyone disagrees with Stephen.
That's so true.
And Andy Tom says,
in the most polite way, we disagree. Yeah.
Yeah, but we can.
Yeah.
Places do look and feel different in the dark. That's what Andy Tom says.
See, this
Von,
is
thank you. Von agrees with me.
Isn't that the funny thing about today's world, though? Everyone's afraid to disagree, aren't they, nowadays? Everyone's like, oh, I better not disagree with someone because I might offend them. When we're of that kind of age when everyone disagreed, and it's fun to disagree,
Isn't it great to be able to have a discussion without name calling and stuff like that?
People disagree, people have different opinions, and that's what makes the world go round. And I remember somebody saying something like, "Oh, well, you're not very nice because you disagree with me." And I said, "Well, no, that's because I've got a different opinion. I'm me or you." It's incredible how people, how that. But yeah, that does go in the paranormal world sometimes. It's funny.
Quite a lot. Yeah. It is quite a community. Like the people who you keep around you, you just keep nice people around you, and then, oh dear, things happen.
I think also because we deal with what we deal with, even though I'm a skeptic, we are quite a sensitive bunch sometimes, because we deal with quite emotive subjects,
Oh,
and
God, yeah.
I say that to my team because even my team fall out with me. We had a disagreement, and they fall out with me, and then I say, well, it's okay for us to fall out. It's going to happen. I fall out with Sarah not all the time, so she's not like, but we love each other very much. That's what makes a relationship. It's part of it.
Yeah, so we've got Terry, as Mrs. calls it, herself a skeptical believer. She believes in the paranormal, but not the human element. And that's it. Yeah. Van, it's good to have a healthy debate and have differing opinions. Often that's how we can learn from each other. I'm not reading things very well. Sorry about that. Stephen Daly, I love disagreeing with people. It's so much better now. I'm not being told who I can and can't debate within the paranormal.
That's why he fights with me all the time.
Ooh, Steve. We've been
Steve.
controversial
So feisty.
tonight.
I think I know what he means on that, but
Yeah, we're not gonna. It's good to agree. We're all individuals, so we won't always agree on everything. That's correct.
Bye,
Oh,
Mr.
bless
Seaden.
you, and Mr. Wayne's off. So, yeah,
Ciao.
take
bye,
care.
Wayne. Bye, Wayne.
Your hour. Are you ready to go now? Then.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm going to pop
Yeah.
off now, and because the
Yeah.
reason I'm not doing the full thing tonight is because I did strain my back on the
Oh,
investigation. I lifted a table, which or lift a table, which I shouldn't have done. So, but that's it, really. But yeah, it's great talking, and I will be on again sometime to chat.
Yeah, bless you. It's been brilliant. Really enjoyed it.
Lovely. Yeah.
Take care, Richard. Thank you.
Thanks, Richard. Thanks
Take
everyone
care.
who's watched.
Cheers, then.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 So, Lois, do you want to chat for a bit longer? Have you
Why
got 5
not?
minutes?
We might as well use up the time while we've got it, so we might as well use it.
Yeah, it's been a
Unless
lovely chat, though, hasn't it?
It was
And,
a lovely chat.
We've got cheeky Steve watching us, haven't we?
Steve, send him the link, see if he wants to come on for half hour.
Shall we?
Aye, why not? We
Shall
had
I-
Richard, why don't we take Steve?
Do you want to come on? Yeah, it is wonderful. Can you send the link on from your phone? Just press forward.
Aye, 2
Yeah,
seconds, I'll send
can
that.
send the link if Steve wants to come on.
Might as well, because we've still got
Yeah.
half an hour to burn.
Yeah, that's it. But I hope everyone's enjoyed it. Yeah, Steve's coming on, so
Why not?
it's been lovely chatting anyway too.
Give
Richard,
me 2
hasn't
wee
it?
ticks and I'll send you the link.
Oh, we've got Irene as well. Hi, Irene. Hope you're all right. Oh, cheers. He is interesting, isn't he? Yeah.
I think for a
And,
skeptic, for a skeptic point of view, it's always, as I've always said, it's always good to have at least one skeptic in the team. Richard's coming from a totally different angle. He wants to come in as the total skeptic, which, I've never ever seen anybody else personally come in fully skeptic and do what Richard wants to do. It would be great to see other more skeptics come in and try and prove it's wrong. I think it would be good for the environment.
yeah, but ultimately, whoa.
Right, Mr. Daly, sent you link, my love.
But ultimately, we are communicating. We're getting some reaction from something. And we call it spirit, we call it a ghost, but we don't actually know what we're talking to. And there's a show called Hellier with Greg and Dana Newkirk, who are just, they're so lovely people. I've met them at the Paracom. They actually think they're talking to our chairs. I think, it's probably, that's what it is. It's the echo, isn't it? But I think they spoke to aliens.
Oh, wow.
So we don't know what we're talking about.
That's an interesting concept.
I think it's my voice echoing. Anyway, we're bringing in Steve.
Oh, is he here?
Hello, Steve.
Oh, hello! You big bastard.
Alice, going out on things.
Oh, well. I broke my one code to conduct. How's you, my love?
I'm good.
We're going out to it's afternoon in America, so yeah.
A family show.
We're very good. Oh, wait a minute. A voice said I disagree.
Oh,
We're going to have to listen to this later on because we've been getting some weird voices going on and weird echoes.
definitely.
All right.
So,
Yeah.
how are you, my good friend? We need to get out investigating.
Yeah, it's been. Well, I've not investigated since the vaults in February, so
Oh
Oh,
my
you've not
God.
been out that long?
no, I've took a break.
Hi, stranger from Van.
Uh,
Yeah.
the
But
kind of past 12 months, my personal life's been in a bit of chaos, so I've took a bit of a stand back from the paranormal. So
oh, bless you. Yeah.
Oh, my honey.
But sometimes you need to, I don't know, work out what you want, and then you're fresh and you're out there again, and yeah, make the most of it, can't you?
yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of took a break from paranormal after a lot of drama, and then my
Yeah.
personal life took a bit of kind of turmoil, and I just
Oh, bless you.
took a wee break. So I think in the past kind of what's that? We was a year and a half.
Aye.
Well, we've been to kind of one event, so two maybe.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, but you'll work out what you want to do.
Well,
When the time comes right around,
I've still got my
if you
team
wanna go
on the
out.
go, which
Oh, that's brilliant.
Louise is a member of. But we really need to kind of do more as a
Yeah.
team.
Aye, definitely. I agree with that.
You did some great lives,
I kind of.
Yeah, I
think
fine.
to put it bluntly, I think I lost my direction in the paranormal.
Yeah, fine.
I think
Things
I
happen,
became
don't they?
too involved in too much drama.
Oh, bless you. Yeah.
At least you're
and
honest about that, and you know what? Everybody makes mistakes in the paranormal. Everybody's.
Look, everyone's
Yeah.
human, aren't they? And
Yeah,
you
humans make
you do
mistakes.
what you're sort of driven to do.
yeah, well, kind of. Don't know how I explain many things, but
Oh,
I
bless
did
you.
get
The main
involved
thing
in
is that
certain.
you're back.
Well, I got involved in certain things I shouldn't have got involved
Well,
with.
yeah, but yeah, it's one of them, isn't it?
Certain
But yeah,
people as well. It's just like no, I don't
yeah.
even bother watching half the live feeds and stuff anymore. I just do my own
Well,
thing.
that's right. But
mastermind thing.
what do you want to do? What do you want to go? Is there anywhere you want to investigate?
I know a lot of people said the Scarred Inn. I've always been interested.
Well,
in
now
Scarred.
Terry's told me I can take my dog. I've got to.
Oh, definitely.
Well,
really
I've got an amazing new partner, so I'm going to maybe try and get her to go down for a weekend. And
Yeah, fantastic.
well, when I
Yeah.
say new, we've been together for about a year, but
That's lovely.
I'll
Yeah.
going to
Oh,
drag
wow.
her down
So
to
been a
the
year
Scarred
out
Inn maybe for
already?
a night away. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. But yeah, it is an awesome place. I have spent a night there. It's a really bad stormy night as well, and oh god, I was camping. So I left the tent near an abbey, Lantoni Abbey Priory, and I didn't even know if it would the tent would blow down or not. It was horrendous, and the wind and the rain was at the windows. But yeah, so yeah, this is a dark, stormy night, and I was scared. So yeah, great night. It adds to the atmosphere. It is in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, definitely recommend it. So where else would you like to go?
I'd like to return to Chillingham Castle.
Oh, okay.
That would be an awesome one.
Well, being Scottish, it's a good place if you're Scottish. Obviously, a lot of people know the history of the castle and what the castle was used for back in
Yeah,
the old
it,
days. So
it's an amazing
being
place.
a broad Scot, then usually you bring out some good activity there. So I'd love to go back there.
Yeah.
I definitely would love to go back to Lennox Castle without a doubt because I just
Oh, you had
absolutely
trouble
love
there,
it up
didn't
there.
you?
I really, really love it up there.
I don't know. I'm not
Yeah.
going back there with you.
Was that one on top of a hill?
That Celtic training ground right next to Celtic training ground.
Oh, okay.
It's
I
one of
like-
only
I
it's
like
one of only two
sceptic.
locations where I actually legit shit my pants.
I must admit that you couldn't debunk that. Everybody heard
Oh,
that night.
No, it was quite embarrassing.
It was quite funny. I must admit, we've investigated, and I've never seen you like this. To see you like this, I was like, holy shit! But you couldn't debunk it.
Well,
You want to tell everybody what happened?
right, we're investigating Lennox Castle, and I'm trying to remember who was there. There was
There was me, you, Suzanne, Robbie, and Lindsay.
was
I'm right.
Suzanne there?
Because it started you two were doing the EVP, and then obviously I was behind you. Because
Well,
something caught my attention that
the
way.
way it kind of described, there was like we're all looking at each other, and I had my back to like the main courtyard, and I remember asking, somebody asked a question, if there's somebody there, can you make your little known? And you could honestly, it was as if someone went in my ear, and
Wow.
like fucking jumped about 4 fucking foot in the air. Sorry about the language, but
Oh gosh.
it was so funny, and it was. But Louise jumped, and then Lindsay jumped, and
Oh wow.
you could actually hear it on the live feed as well. It was, but there was
was
nobody standing
amazing.
behind me. But
Oh way. Oh bless you. Yeah, it's amazing though, isn't it, when you get something, and it's very rare that you're actually scared of something, isn't it? I kind of
I don't know. I've lost a lot of belief in the paranormal. You get that.
yeah.
I've not
I
become
think
a total skeptic, but at the same time, the 10 years I've been doing this now, I've yet to actually properly
yeah.
experience anything other than the incident with the attachment. But I mean,
Oh
even
gosh,
that, I don't
that's
know whether it could be something in my head. I don't know. It could have been mental health.
yeah.
I really don't know.
That's it is. I don't know. It sort of gets you like a bug, and once you're on sort of the roller coaster, and you're going out investigating it, you sort of get into a routine. I did have a month off recently, so I went on holiday and I took a break. But yeah, Von says she would have done the same as well. You do sort of have to take time away sometimes, don't you? And now you can decide, like, maybe if you do book the Skirrid, a weekend break, see what happens.
Yeah.
Something might happen. You think, oh, I want to do this all the time. You've got a lot of locations around you.
Well, it's quite well where we stay in there, so I'm quite lucky. There's a lot of abandoned places run about.
Yeah,
The only
that's
thing
right.
I don't really like about where I stay is the kind of trust on a lot of the historical buildings and the castles that don't allow paranormal investigating. So
Yeah, this is the
Aye.
thing.
quite
Yeah,
the minute you turn around and say, "Oh, listen, I'm a paranormal investigator," they just hang the phone at me.
To be honest, I
yeah,
find it's either they hang the phone up me or they bump up the price. They would normally ask if you were trying to hire out one of the rooms, and they would try and make it double, if not higher. Because I found that when they Bath Castle, they told the first time I was ever away, like they said 300, but when I asked, it went up to 800, and I was like, no much of a difference there, like 500. No, I don't think so.
I remember going into Porton Cross Castle with Nicola. No, I had never been inside the castle before. So
What
you get
was
the wee
that?
guy. Honestly, it was Porton Cross.
No, there was
So
a weird voice then, and I'm sure it's not you echoing. Some weird sounds.
Can't hear nothing.
you'd have to
No,
listen.
I know you're echoing a bit, but Andy thinks it was a growl.
I never even heard that. But mind you, it's the same in investigations. You don't really see what you've got until you've reviewed the footage on the next day. I find that what I maybe not have heard that night, I get when I review.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm getting feedback. No, that's me. That's feedback from me. I don't know what's going on.
I can't even hear any feedback, to be fair.
It's very weird.
Yeah, very. Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, I'll have to watch this back.
I hate hearing my voice. Hate watching myself back.
Yeah, but then I spoke, then it didn't repeat. Now
Like
it
I was
is.
saying about up here, one of the local castles, Portland Cross, myself and Nicola went into it, and the guy went up and said that I'm like, I've never been in this castle before, so he's like, I was like, oh, so it's like someday I've actually got I can speak to about history, and I said, oh, I'm a paranormal investigator. The guy couldn't wait to get away from me.
Oh, bless you.
He disappeared a while. But
It is
just,
a weird thing to bring up, isn't it? And it goes one of two ways, doesn't it? They're like, wow, or oh, you're strange, go away, bye.
It's like one of the ones that it's certainly a conversation stopper as soon as you say
Yeah,
what you.
totally.
That's why I tread carefully and start asking about the place and history, and then I gradually, oh, I do paranormal investigation.
You see, some people will actually have a castle and they'll hire it out to weddings, but then they don't want people to think it's haunted. So they avoid people from investigating because they say, oh, it's a nice wedding venue, but you've got all this history here, it's not going to stop them, is it?
Oh, Mr. West is here.
Oh, hello. You've just missed
Hello.
Richard. Oh, bless you. You've missed Richard, I'm afraid, Wes. You got Steve instead. Steve's brilliant. Steve was just watching. We just dragged him on for a chat.
I know, he never even got a choice. It was on here now.
Yeah.
I know, Nicola reminded me we're in bed. I had to come down the stairs and we're going to go and watch the Jeffrey Dahmer thing on Netflix.
Oh, everyone's
don't tell
watching that at
me.
the moment, aren't they? I haven't watched it yet.
Watch that.
I've only watched one episode and I find it very strange.
So Ruth in Castle put Mrs. and up in a good room, gave us a key to the haunted one. We had the run of the place at night as the night manager opened up the old parts. Awesome. But I was at the schooner and they wanted to give me a tour around after work. But I'd got the dog, so it's a bit awkward.
Is that what the one in down?
Anik.
Oh yeah, Anik. Yeah.
Almouth, Anik, something like that. It's Northumberland.
The only thing about the schooner was you get one of Derek Acorah's like theatrical performances in there, so it was they kind of clung on to that fame a wee bit, I think.
It was creepy, and also you got a lot of sort of pirates going on there. And I did pick up something myself. I picked up a guy with a monocle, and he was like a pirate character, and the dog started growling at a chair. And then I sort of mentioned this guy to the staff and said, yeah. And they said, yeah, he hangs around in here and is a really angry man. And yeah, the dog was just growling at a chair for ages. It's quite funny.
I love Rocky. He's a good
Yeah.
See, before I would quickly go, I'd actually love to go to Roslyn Chapel. I'd like to.
Yeah.
I'd love to invest in
that
there.
would be amazing.
The only problem you've got is it's a church. Now, I don't know if you've been to when you went to see it when you were up here, Jacqueline, but
No, you never went.
When you go in, there's so many different beliefs that's went into the making of this. But you've got
Oh, okay.
a lot of symbols. When you look at symbology over the history, you've got like the pagan, you've got Christian.
Wow.
A lot of different, and when you speak to, I know it was made kind of like famous when Dan Brown's Da Vinci Code. See if you actually talk to the tour guides. The tour guides, they did one of these the ultrasound things to measure under the ground, and they believe they've actually found a chamber that has got like the knights. And when you read the history,
sort of
Knights Templar. When you read the history, the St. Clair family who own it, who live in America, are actually they are linked to the Knights Templar and got this chamber underneath. Now, they'll not tell you about that on tours or if you're in scene, but if you ask some of the tour guides, they will openly tell you about it. Quite interesting.
So, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, they kind of hide a lot of things, don't they? Because they don't want to freak people out, or
Aye.
scare people or stuff like that. But we like to know this information, don't we?
The kind of
Oh,
high up, what I was
goodbye,
told by the tour guide, the high up
You-
members of
Hi,
the family,
Terry.
they don't want to investigate it any further. They just don't want it disturbed.
Yeah,
So
okay, yeah.
they obviously know something, but you know, I keep it secret. So I mean, but if you ever
Yeah.
come up, honestly, the Roslyn area is amazing.
Well, I'm a bit umming and ahhing about what to do for a holiday. I've got 2 weeks to determine what I'm going to do next year for a holiday, and yeah, it's one of them. So Terry says, "Follow your heart and gut feeling, mate. Don't rush in." And Terry loves us. Bless him.
Oh, thank
I
you.
miss you. I miss Terry already because I saw him on Saturday night. So yeah.
Anyway,
So-
guys, I'm going to go because I'm going to go and watch some Jeffrey Dahmer.
Oh, okay. More
Thanks to
important
me
than
and
us,
spoil
Harry.
shit.
But it was interesting. It was nice talking to you
That's
It was
again.
nice
This
to
is,
see you, my baby.
anyway.
this is the first time I've did this in about 18 months. So
Oh,
it's,
bless you.
Good to
I've
see
been
you,
in
honey.
hiding. I've been in
God,
hiding.
yes, we need to. We need to sort this, Wes. Finally. Yeah,
Yeah.
we need to sort it and get a good group together. And yeah, we'll do it properly, though, Wes.
Anyway,
Yeah,
good night.
Bye,
take
honey.
care.
Good night.
Take care,
Thank
Steve.
you.
Yeah, I was due to meet Wes in Edinburgh, just as
Oh,
COVID hit.
was that not the one that Colin was supposed to go
Yeah,
to?
Colin and oh God, is a chef.
Ali
Guy,
Reid.
Ali as well. Yeah,
Aye.
so it would have been
I've
awesome. So we get,
investigated
yeah,
with the Scottish Paranormal. Me, Steve, the Scottish Paranormal, and there was other investigators there as well, and it was a really good night. They're the most down to earth guys. Really, really down to
yeah.
earth.
So we're just going to go to Ali Reid. So we're just going to go up to Edinburgh, and I don't actually know what we're going to do when we're there.
I love Edinburgh.
Because it just got stopped, didn't it? Which was I booked the hotels and everything. I've got a couple of really haunted hotels, I think. So yeah,
COVID's got a lot to add so far.
it has, hasn't it? And it's a shame. But
It definitely has.
yeah. But I hope everyone's all right anyway. But thanks for tuning in. We
Thanks,
have tried
everyone.
to catch all your questions and look after yourselves. Next week, we're speaking to Sam Pert, who's a great medium. So if you have any questions for Sam about mediumship or anything, then yeah. So we're talking to Sam. Oh yeah, we'll have to try and sort it out, Wes. We will do.
Wes, if I'm good, oh my god, that's an awful ask of me.
Yeah, Scotland trip next year. That's all good. I just need a kennel for the dog in Scotland because what I'll do is go up there for a fortnight and sort something out. Okay,
Yeah.
so look after yourselves, everyone, and
Look
take
after yourself,
care.
guys.
Thank you
Right,
so much.
bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.